Peace. What's the science, universal family? On another glorious day of the science of living mathematics. And what is today's mathematics? Culture or freedom. What is that in your alphabet? What is your fourth letter in the alphabet? D. And what is D in the supreme alphabet? Divine or destroy. So how do we break that down? Right? The first was knowledge. The second was wisdom. The third was understanding. And today is culture or freedom. You already did the knowledge. You already put that into motion and was able to speak your mind. 3, you kind of sat back and you started watching, understanding the process, the comprehension. And 4th is now making part of your way of life, right? Because if wisdom is ways and actions, and repeated action on a consistent basis becomes part of your habits, and habits eventually become part of your what? Way of life and how you live. So that is your culture. You understand? Things that you do each and every day, the little habits, the foods you eat, the music you listen to, all these things become a part of you. And freedom is to be free from struggle, to be free from restraint, anybody slowing you down for negative purposes or whatnot. You know, freedom doesn't mean you get to do whatever you want. I'll repeat that. Freedom doesn't mean you get to do whatever you want. Because there are rules and regulations in place to keep things moving forward. Right? You're able to go ahead and rob a store. But that's not freedom because you're able to do that. You know what I'm saying? Because that comes with a negative consequence. You have to be able to discern what you're capable of doing. Your freedom consists of you being able to progress as a natural human element. You know what I'm saying? No mispropaganda, misinformation, all these things that are put into place to slow you down and just turn you into a robotic consumer. You know, believe in a system to empower others. All these things is what's stopping you from being free thinking. You think you are free, but you're as a young kid, you are given, let's say, choices. And these choices are controlled by mega corporations and whatnot. And it gives you the illusion that you think, oh, I like channel 5. I got 5,000 channels. I can pick whatever I want. If you really think about it, they gave you those 5,000 channels. And you can only choose from them. But because you can only choose from that, then you think you're the man. Right? So, what I want to build with you guys today about is being able to build proper habits and make it part of your way of life. You know, it doesn't have to be going to the gym as you're part of your culture, let's say. But that can be it. What I'm referring to is taking care of yourself in all aspects: mental, physical, emotional state. If you deal with the spiritual, then in the spiritual state. What does this have to do with divine or destroy? What is divine? Divine is that which belongs to God. Right? And destroy is to take away, deconstruct, remove. And it's important that we look into what these things mean, because whatever is divine is what comes from your higher mind. Whatever you're using the correct say a way to apply things. Get my drift? What it comes down to is, if that's what's divine, is that the definition of divine? It's something that you're not being rash about it. You're not being quick and just making a decision just to appease somebody else, or to be part of a group, or to not be made fun of, or anything like that. These things that are not divine must be destroyed, because they're not a part of your higher state of being, which is God, your highest self, you know, your full realized self is what I would say. And with culture, I want you guys to live a culture of freedom, where you guys are truly free, not woke with this concept, and I know I spoke about this, but think of the concept of you bettering yourself at all times. Not for money, not to appease anybody else, but for the greater good of us all. You know, because you carry a unique set of skills that I don't have. And it can benefit us all if you are able to apply that each and every day, each and every way, to your way of life, where it becomes a second nature and you're not even thinking about it no more. You just do, you know? And you can teach me, and then I can teach you vice versa, my skill sets. And we all grow together. And it's part of that growth and development that I was talking about. Because if I grow and you grow, and then they grow and she and he grows, and we all grow together, then we can benefit much more. And instead of just growing little by little, we're growing at an exponential amount. You understand? So this is what I mean by living that culture of freedom. You're not being bogged down by anything. You're not being manipulated to fit a specific category, or to label yourself as part of a category. You're just living a way of life that is natural to you. Not forced, not to prove a point, not for political reasons and whatnot, not because your parents forced you and you're doing the opposite. Something that you are truly at peace with. As for me, I live a culture of righteousness, regardless to whom or what. And I live it to the best of my ability. It doesn't matter if it's not fun. It's like, oh, you know, you gotta be, you're too rigid. That's what I've been told. I'm too rigid. Why? Because I don't do the things that you do? How about I did that when I was younger and don't do that no more? You know, you ever thought about it like that? Or how about it's just not conducive to my well-being? Don't need to apply it. You know, you have to be able to look into these things and realize that as you come to the point where you're going to change things about your way of life for the better, you're going to lose people around you that are not ready to take that step themselves. You know, they could still be stuck in high school mode, you know, still wanting to party hard and get drunk and pass out and all this and whatnot. And you in a different mode. You got your kids now. You know, now I gotta go home. It's like, what? You gotta go home? You're not gonna? It's like, yeah, I gotta go home. Or even if you don't have kids, you know, it's just like, hey, I want to relax in my home, my sanctuary. You know what I'm saying? I love this right here. I wish I could leave the lights on like that on all night. But these are battery powered right there. You know what I'm saying? This one over there, I gotta change the battery. You know what I mean? Just be able to walk in, just that it noticed my presence and it just whoa. You know what I'm saying? And this is what I do, and I'm still not done. And I said this before, I'm still not done putting my designs up yet to make it feel something that I like, that is for me. You know, and this is my home. So I express my way of life through that, and I tell everybody, it's like your home should be your sanctuary. It should be where you are at peace with yourself. Not where you go bananas because you've been home stuck all day or something like that. You need to be able to change that around. You know, and we live in this culture where we should be seeking things outside of ourselves, and not only that, outside of our home. Peace outside of our home? That's crazy. You know what I mean? And there's a whole bunch of ways of life to be lived out that not all of them are right and exact. You have to be able to determine that and which is best for you. Whereas a healthy way of life, a high power, energetic, adrenaline rush way of life, whatever suits your growth and development, right? But don't lose yourself in this way of life where you become a savage and it changes you just so you can have the end result that you think you wanted. Right? Don't become a savage in the pursuit of happiness. Right? Let that sink in for a little bit. Because at the end of the day, it's not the way of life that you would have to destroy. It would have to be you. What you became, you would have to destroy because it's no longer divine. You started living a life not from up here, but from the lower cipher. Your lower self. The hell, per se. Where it's just unbridled passion and just uncontrollable passion and with no logic, no higher thinking of proper timing or anything like that. And you might fool yourself that this is what the life that you live. You might hear others that are probably fell victim to the same thing. Oh yeah, that's right, that's how you live, man. Nah. You are the sole controller, not your body. Right? All of you should be always in control. And this is how you apply the freedom. This is how you gain freedom. By being able to have that self-control. To not lose yourself in the traffic jam, or let's say the bombarding of information that we get nowadays in this age of information, where there's a lot of lies stuck between the truths. You could be able to discern one from the other and be able to live out a correct way of living and pass this on to your kids so they are greater, and then the grandkids are greater, and even greater, so on and so forth, and just building on to that. You know, we know that culture, in order to experience somebody's culture, you know, you gotta dabble in the food, right? That's what they say, a good introduction to someone's culture is the food. And that speaks a lot. Same thing with the music, the rhythm, because like, remember how we build in wisdom is motion. And for things to exist, it has to have a certain type of vibration. So how do you live, right? Let's look at the rhythm, the pattern of your motion with the music, the foods, the different palette, right? And all these things is important that we look into and we experience other forms of expression, other freedoms, let's say, different music, different taste, let your taste buds experience all these things, because it's going to help you expand. It's going to help you develop a way of life that you build towards your true freedom of who you are. Right? Because many don't even know the history of their foods, and they live out this culture, and I say in the Caribbean culture that I'm a part of, we have a thing that we call moto, right? And this moto is white rice and beans. And obviously that usually changes the rice to a little bit of brown or whatever. And you can have different variations of it. It's not a problem. But they don't know the history of the word moto. And moto comes from Moors, the Africans that came into Spain, and then the mixture of the whites and then the blacks. And that's where the term moto comes from. So there's history, even in the foods that you eat, even in the music. One of the things that bothers me is when I hear the Caribbean people, oh, I'm not black, I'm only white, and this, that, and the third, but yeah, you love dancing salsa, you love dancing merengue and bachata and all this, and you're not really paying attention to the history of the music. A lot of songs, old school songs, not the ones that are just talking about sex and how good a female looks and whatnot, like Baile de Perrito and all that other crap. I know that's old school, but you know what I'm getting with. But listen to the old school songs, and you see that they talk about a lot of African elements, a lot of native Caribbean elements in there, and how the different instruments were brought together. And we know it was through the slave trade, but it was a mixture of that, of combining different instruments together to formulate a new sound, new music. Whether you want to believe it or not, that's where these elements come from. And knowing the history of your culture is important, because that can lead you to freedom. Because you got to know what caused your culture to be what it is nowadays. You got to know that history and be free from the dumb and have a free dome. Just a play on words. This is how we do it to this practice. And knowing the history of how things came to be will allow you to be able to see and be part of the change of things to come for your culture, right? And this is important. Another thing, I should say, not one thing, but another thing that I would like you guys to start making part of your way of life is to love yourself. That's important. That's why this shirt that I have here, by the way, ferranovo.com. So I got this shirt's my design. I love myself first. And why do I say that? Because it's easy to say, oh, I love this food. Oh, I love Jordans. Oh, I love this show. But how often can you look in the mirror and say, I love me? And you're like, I love you, man. Because loving self is the hardest thing. Because only you cannot lie to yourself. And whatever demons you got inside, you can lie to anybody else. Because they're never within. They can't see it. But you can. And you can feel it. So, as you can see with the design, as the heart obviously got the hummingbird right there. And I chose the hummingbird for the logo because it is the only bird, pardon itself for him. It is the only bird that when it flies, it can fly in any direction. While every bird likes to fly forward. This one has controlled flight, true freedom. The wings flap in a sideways 8 motion, which is a sign of infinity. And Ferranovo means to bring about something new. And that's what I chose for that. As you can see here, you have a maze to get to the center of your heart. Because to love yourself is the hardest thing to do, so it's like a maze. and there are 6 different ways to get in, but only 3 ways to get to the center, right? I'll let you guys just look at that. You can take a picture of that or whatever, and you can see, figure it out for yourself. Because 3 is the understanding. To be able to understand, to love yourself is most important, and you apply it to your way of life. To be able to love yourself, and people will be able to see this. Right? Those who are on the right path will be able to see this. Those who aren't will think you are conceited. Oh, you think you sure? You think you all that? Nah, but I know who I am, and I love me, because I'm okay with me. I accept me, and I accept how I'm growing, how I'm developing, because what? I'm in charge. I have true freedom of self, and I can make those choices for the proper growth and development for self. So therefore, how can I not love me? You understand? If you're the one making all the choices and everything is going where it needs to be, how can you not love self? You know, if you make a mistake, I gotta change this around, to be able to look at yourself and be like, yeah, you should have taken, the left instead of the right. You know what I mean? And that's okay. As long as you're true to yourself, man. Make that part of your life, your way of life each and every day, man. Just, all I can do is pass on the jewel. And this is why I do this. Because I want you guys to be able to at least experience what I experienced. And not saying that I've reached, the top and all that, and I got it perfect. No. But this is my way, and this is what has worked for me. To be able to look in the mirror and I just, you know what I'm saying? It's just like, pat yourself on the back. And truly be at peace with yourself. Be comfortable in your own skin. And I know you guys heard that before. It will serve inspiration for your kids who, let's say, might be getting teased at school, or they feel some type of way because they got hair texture like this. They're getting teased by other kids or whatnot. But to learn to love themselves. If I didn't go bald, I would have still had my dreads. And it was an expression of me. I love me, and I love the texture of my hair. I love my culture, and I'm gonna live it freely. It's who I am. Right? So please, leave a comment in the section. How do you see today's mathematics? What questions you had? Go ahead and post it. Please smash that like button and subscribe to the channel. All that serves for me is positive reinforcement, saying that I'm on the right track, and at least what I'm doing, could help you. At least that it could help you. That it might. There's a chance. And if it does, I'm grateful. Because this is why I do that. Because I'm a 5%er. My duty is to teach those that do not know. Not for monetary gain. Not for none of that. This is separate. This is my designs, and I go ahead and sell, just like the other ones that I wore yesterday. Those are things that I do for me. For my own business, for my own ideas. But knowledge? Nah, I'm not trying to fool you guys. I'm not trying to give you guys advice, and then a couple of years later you find out that I'm completely different or something like that. No, this is who I am, man. No filter. Just raw. That's Raw Shine, my name. People like, you're Raw Shine. No, it's Raw Shine. So with that, again, please subscribe like that. The button. Alright? So peace. Enjoy the rest of the day. On another glorious day. Peace.